Hey everyone, it's FLAK. Artificial intelligence has been a hot topic when it comes to Battlefield 2042. Developers have announced the new title will use AI bots, or AI soldiers, quote unquote, to fill servers when needed. The decision has both positive and negative implications and has elicited both positive and negative reactions from fans. It's also the topic of today's video. Now, if you're like me, you've been playing Battlefield for a long time, and if you have, you'll know that AI soldiers are nothing new. In fact, multiplayer bots made appearances in Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 2, and Battlefield 2142, among others. I still remember playing Battlefield 1942 with bots, and the way that it helped bring what were at the time very large maps to life. I ran a poll on Twitter asking what you thought of bots in Battlefield, and somewhat surprisingly, about 85% of responses came back in support of AI soldiers in Battlefield, although the vast majority requested the option to disable the feature. Now, DICE has confirmed they have no plans to give players this option, but I don't think this is entirely true. I'll come back to that here in a minute. I do think that AI has a lot of positive applications for Battlefield. At its most basic, filling servers provides a more engaging and consistent experience for players. It can be very frustrating when a server empties out and the pace of combat crawls to a halt. This can be caused by lopsided matches, poor map rotations, any number of things. And unfortunately, it often leads to the abandonment of the server, which means you're stuck exiting and wasting yet more time loading into a different game. We see this a lot on Battlefield 5, and it's frustrating. It would be really nice to have AI to bolster the action to keep the pace up. This is also vital for smaller geographic regions in the world. Previous Battlefield games have revealed weaknesses in the way EA handles servers. So, for example, players in the Middle East and Pacific have really struggled to find games. And what good is a game if you can't play it? Bots could help populate servers in these regions, and that is great news for those players. The large size of the maps in Battlefield 2042 also necessitates AI soldiers. We're talking about maps that are, in some cases, 3 times larger than some of the biggest ones in previous games. If your match is short, even 10 or 15 players, you're gonna feel that. The pace of the game will slow down tremendously. I personally feel that Battlefield is about target-rich environments and pandemonium. It's not a walking simulator. On a different note, I haven't seen anyone discuss the potential implications for AI as a tool for server balancing, and this is a really tricky concept. Theoretically, DICE could modify AI behavior and skill as a means to keep games competitive. I'm not sure this is wise because the community has in the past reacted with hostility to efforts to balance matches through game mode mechanics, and especially if DICE doesn't explain what it is they're doing. At the same time, video games should be a little bit challenging, so kind of a double-edged sword there. Similarly, there's concern over how well AI soldiers will behave in-game, and there's a question of if those kinds of kills are going to feel rewarding. And I think the answer to this question depends on how AI players are presented in-game and how effectively they work. Many games utilize AI players, and some have employed them quite successfully. For example, Titanfall's grunts. It's true that they are largely cannon fodder for skilled players, but again, they keep the pacing of combat up, and it leads to generally a more enjoyable experience. And honestly, here in the heat of the moment, are you really going to stop to check to see who was an AI player and who wasn't? No, you're probably not. DICE also used AI soldiers in Star Wars Battlefront 2. These are actually pretty complex and will exhibit a wide range of behavior based on a number of factors. For example, its equipped weapon will determine engagement distance. AI soldiers know how to strafe and avoid fire, guard and patrol areas, and can even be programmed to follow human teammates. That all sounds nice on paper, but how does it actually work in action? It had been a while since I played Battlefront 2, so I thought I would see what others had to say about AI soldiers in the game. So I went, did the normal thing, checked out some YouTube videos on the topic, and I was honestly surprised to see them full of positive comments. I don't remember AI being particularly bad or beneficial in the game, but a lot of these comments were focused on how well AI soldiers play the objective. It's also a little unfortunate to point out AI in Battlefield will probably be more adept at healing and resupplying you than your average Blueberry teammates. We also need to remember significant strides have been made with AI since Battlefront 2. DICE has been experimenting with AI players since at least Battlefield 1, which came out several years ago, so I would expect technology has improved significantly. Similarly, AI has game testing applications. DICE have already been using the technology in this way for a while to test game clients and servers, fill up playtest servers, do pre-playtest checking, co-op stability, feature testing like driving vehicles, testing the functionality of an upcoming patch, and more. It's also actively used by game designers to apply a brute force approach when necessary, when you're trying to get out there and polish maps. So, for example, you release a lot of AI onto a multiplayer map, and through the process of them running around doing various things, it'll locate spots where real human players could get stuck. And naturally, that allows developers to more easily find and fix problems, which generally results in a better experience for fans. Going back to the discussion at the beginning of this video, DICE has said that they have no plans to let players disable AI soldiers. Personally, I think this is sort of a half-truth. We have to remember that DICE hasn't announced any sort of rental server program or community game tools for Battlefield 2042. I am like 100% sure that they have learned their lesson on that, and we expect it to be there. I hope that I'm right, but if it is, I think that's going to be a part of the announcements at EA Play Live, and I 100% expect AI soldiers will be a toggleable option for custom games or those rented servers. This eliminates one of the big roadblocks here and satisfies a large portion of the population that really wants to have the option to have it turned off. I would expect all of those DICE official servers to run with AI on, however. If implemented well, I think AI soldiers can support Battlefield 2042 in positive and meaningful ways. There are always going to be detractors when it comes to AI soldiers or the use of bots in games, arguing it cheapens the experience or lowers the level of realism. And I hate to say it, but this is Battlefield we're talking about, the game where we ride jeeps laden with C4 into tanks or jump out of an airplane to bazooka an enemy. I think we're going to be okay, but that's my personal opinion. I'm curious what you think about AI soldiers or bots in Battlefield 2042. Make sure that you tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you want to see them in the game? Should you have the option to turn them off? Should they not be there? Tell me what's on your mind. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. Make sure to subscribe. Tap the bell to get updates on all of the latest Battlefield videos. Obviously, we're going to have a busy month now. We're into July. We've got EA Play Live coming up on July 22nd. Expecting lots of fun Battlefield announcements for that. So, yeah, make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications on. In the meantime, if you want to support the channel, keep your money, share this video. As always, thanks for watching.